Aries. I had strangers watching me. What it do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm getting the mic up. Give me a hot second. I just did it on impulse because I was like, you know, you're never going to be ready for these things. This is just a reality. You're never going to be ready for these things. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Actually, the guy behind me is the one that actually came in and was like, hey, look, you know, we're going to call this your local sextrologist. And it actually started with your local, like your daily friendly neighbor sextrologist. And I'm going to type that in for the chat for y'all because he's the guy. He's the guy, actually. He's from Texas. We were born in the same place. We're both Texas. We're going to type this out. Today, we are talking about the dark night of the soul. I'm going to let you know that off the rip. We're kind of in this beginning setup process. And really, I just wanted to explain to you quick, like, the story behind, like, the whole local sextrologist. And it was just like prior, I put the Pernell Bobby astrology healer coming in. It was just an intro, and it was like, you know, it got me one step closer. And this is a lot of where the dark night of the soul kind of comes in, where we allow our identity essentially to undergo a transformation, to undergo a shift. And so this is what's interesting. My man is also going through a shift right now. He's like working with the martial arts. Listen, I'm really excited about this. There's multiple reasons why. I have 10 tips, which is not really tips, but I have 10 scenarios of how you'll know you're going through the dark night of the soul. How you know you're going through an ego death. These are your warning signs. One being the ego death, one being the identity crisis. So what does that even mean? You know, what is an ego death? What is an identity crisis? This becomes the first question. What is the dark night of the soul? Maybe we'll give an overview of what that is. And it's really like, it's an acceleration. The way I look at the dark night of the soul is an acceleration. It's an acceleration into your healing process. You know, because at this point, we got to recognize when we're healing deep-seated traumas, when we're healing deep-seated pains, we often will, in these moments, attract, and we'll dive in here. Let my man get his martial arts going. Let me get in. We often will go through karmic relationships. We'll often go through, people will announce some twin flames, right? Where we seem to attract people that challenge us, that trigger us, right? That causes these emotional responses. That causes these responses that can really be painful, right? And so generally it's either during, if you're unaware that you're going through the dark night of the soul, with that again being a moment where like there's extreme pressure. You feel like a bottle pop, just ready to pop. When we go through that, recognize that these karmic relationships are just helping us work ourselves through something that we have struggled to allow to transform on its own. All right. I want to repeat that. These ego death moments, when you're going through that dark night of soul, you're going through that deep-seated pain, which you're oftentimes not necessarily aware that is actually happening while it's happening, which is what makes it so much more painful when you do figure out like, wow, like this has been what I've been going through. This makes so much more sense now. You know, my last 4 or 5 was just shit. And, you know, it hurts. I almost felt somebody's heart, whoever watches this, whether you watch this in real time or you watch this on replay, I just felt somebody's heart just drop when they heard that, because, whew, let me breathe out for you. God damn. All right, let's take a break. Let's take a break on this dark night of the soul. You're watching this video because you're watching this to try to figure out the 10 warning signs. I dropped the first one in here. We're going to explain that ego death. We're going to explain that identity crisis that we all go through. Like I say, we all go through. I go through. I was here in Medellin, Colombia last year, and it was probably one of the biggest ego of my life. And I believe I recorded this on my YouTube channel, so you can check out that video, ego death, on the YouTube channel. But it was not fun, right? Like, it was in the middle of quarantine. It hit moments where I remember there were 2 strong days, it's at bare minimum, and I think there was more, but there was 2 big ones, 2 strong days where it felt like life was smacking me. It felt like God was slapping itself. I'm going to say itself. I'm going to remove the idea of this because this is a part of what the Dark Night of Soul is about. It's about removing the blocks. And the block becomes the identity that you're not allowing yourself to transform from. The key word is transform, right? We're currently going into Scorpio season. Scorpio is the archetype of transformation, death, rebirth, the phoenix, death, rebirth, the phoenix. And understand that you're going to attract these karmic relationships. You're going to attract twin souls, twin flames, you know, to begin to honor yourself more. And this is what it is. Like, recognize this is not something that is meant or designed to hurt you. It's helping you to honor something more within yourself. So people will often trigger you. I've often found myself triggered in relationships when I needed to honor myself more, when I was challenged to try something new, something that was not from potentially what my parents raised me to be, which is a lot of where the conditioning will start, right? So there's no point in focusing on, there's no point in focusing on the it's like you're trying to explain it all the time and just, rationalize and be logical with it. In all honesty, sometimes it's just more about moving the energy in your body, moving the energy in your body. And there's plenty of ways to do that. This is a legit prime example of moving the energy within your body, allowing yourself to feel the process, allowing yourself to breathe, allowing yourself to be bold, dare to be bold. Take in the martial arts. This is a prime example. This is actually a style of the IP man. Listen, I had to recognize, and we're going to do it right now. All right? You're watching this. I want you to begin to rub your hands. Rub your hands up front. All right. All right, here we go. We're going to rub our hands up front. We're just going to throw the mic right up in the way. No negotiations. I want you to start rubbing your hands. All right. As we start diving into these 10 warning signs that you're going through the dark night of the soul. I'm rubbing my hands. I'm rubbing my hands. I'm rubbing my hands. And I want you to then place those hands on top of your head. Just cover your face, but just hover. Don't actually touch your face. Just hover. And I want you to begin to just sense, relax your jaw, to sense the energy. As your shoulders cave in, your chest begins to relax. And you let your teeth go. All the tension in your jaw drops. As we begin to open our hands and move our hands to the side of our head with your eyes closed if you feel comfortable. And allow your ears to tune in with the senses, the frequencies, the energy, that magnetic and electric pulse coming from your palms to your ears. Allow yourself to believe that more is possible. And feel. Don't think about what you should be feeling. Feel. As your shoulders relax down, notice the shift. We're going to have our hands cross over the front of our body. We're going to bring it up to our heart chakra, which is going to sit directly in the center. And again, I want you to just feel what is being asked of you. What is being asked of you? How can you honor your heart? Okay. Now we're going to just, if you feel comfortable and you're ready, open your eyes up. At your own pace, begin to Rub your hands together. Okay. I want you to just now grab your hands, squeeze your fingers, grab your hands, squeeze your fingers. Beginning to release tension and move the energy in our body. If you're going through the dark night of the soul, this is important. If you're having an ego death right now, this is important. Allow yourself to be yourself. What I'm doing here is I'm hitting my palm, I'm hitting my palm, I'm hitting my palm. This is called switching. You're going through the dark night of the soul. All right, and you'll finding yourself getting faster and 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 faster. All right, this is called switching. Whoever just joined in. And what I did was in slow motion, I hit a palm and I'm switching. I'm going to hit a palm and I'm switching. And what this does is, as you begin to speed up, it connects your right brain and your left brain. Because when you're going through the dark nights of the soul, I know you're overbearing with pressure right now. You're overthinking in all the wrong areas. Your feminine energy is trying to be objective, clear-minded, and precise, and your masculine energy is trying to be overly expressive and potentially hedonistic pleasure, right? Wow, I already feel a jolt. I already feel a switch. I already feel a change in my body. I want to have you go ahead and take your fingers, which you dig into your chest. And we're going to start to, right after this next exercise, dive into the ego death. Dive into karmic relationships, why they exist, what they mean, the twin flames that you keep attracting. All right. The depersonalization, like you're going, you're starting to feel like a monster, right? Oh my God, I'm a monster because I did this, and that. And we begin to get hypercritical on ourselves, right? I want you to tap on your head. We begin to get hypercritical and tap on your head. We begin to shame our actions because they're different than the last part of our identity that we're now either refusing to let go or choosing to surrender. There's only two choices. There's only two choices when you're going through the dark night of the soul, an ego death, and experience of common relationships. You can choose not to let go of the behavior, of the habit, of the parts of your identity that you've cultivated and conditioned, or more likely it has been conditioned for you without your permission. You're going to continue to allow it to hold you back, to pin you down, to make you feel less than, to confuse you daily, to become victim to the drama, or you then bring yourself now to surrender, which you don't have to really bring yourself to exactly, do you? All you really need to do is surrender, which, yes, you're going to then say easier said than done. Well, that's what's keeping you there. All right, we're going to move to number 2. I'm going to type this in the chat. Okay. You find yourself not content and you struggle to be grateful. Recognize these moments when, like, you can't find yourself happy. No matter what happens, no matter how fortunate you are, no matter how many others that you may see in a less fortunate condition, it just doesn't seem to cut the cake for your happiness and what you feel like you need. You're just not content. You're working a job you probably are disgusted with, and what is happening is you're going through spiritual depression. And I had to learn that spiritual depression is a legit thing. Spiritual depression is a lack of expression, right? Anything you depress in, it doesn't have enough space to express out. So what happens is we express out in volatile manners when we do, because we felt miscommunicated for such a long time that there's no choice but to be volatile. And I had to recognize how this was happening and within myself. I had to recognize, what did the anger and the rage mean for me? And what it meant was I wasn't allowing myself to express. And, I'm an Aries, right? So I'm an Aries coming in for the sun, for the moon, and for the Mercury. And it's a lot of firepower. It's a lot of firepower that stands for justice. It's a lot of firepower that stands for artistic expression. with the degree that my Aries sits in. It sits in the third decan, which is, activism through artistic means, not the Aries on the front line who wants to fight with physical prowess, something a big joy of mine's, big part of my younger years, but it wasn't part of my destiny. Destiny was to be able to do it in an artistic means, to be an activist, to help empower people in an intelligent way that I still can consider my art. And saying this out loud, last year, like I said, I was in the Dark Night of the Soul. Last year, I was posting videos about me going through an ego death. I was writing a book, and I finished the book, and I edited it 3 times over. And it just never was going to be good enough. I was never going to be content, with this material thing. I was just doing this potentially out of alignment, and it wasn't necessarily in alignment with where I needed to be and what I needed to do, which is more likely than not why I couldn't finish it, because it's a major thing for me to operate in integrity. This is tremendous for me. I really always want to operate in integrity. So it was a hurt moment. It was a hurt moment because I was like, damn, I finished this project, but it's not fully in alignment. And that's when I now face a year later here in Medellin, Colombia. Truth of why I couldn't finish. And it's interesting. I'm doing this video now because I've been going through my own dark night of the soul as a come around, as a comeback, as a part of this karmic cycle, finding its way to completion. And the beauty is things have changed this time around, and I've chose how to respond. I've chose to take a certain position with my attitude, and I chose to take a less cynical position with my attitude, thinking less and less of people always having ulterior motives, and just doing my best to focus on myself, doing my best to create a new design where I'm no longer operating in the mindset of who does or does not have a hidden desire or ulterior motive, and just allow myself to operate closer to the vibration of love, at least the best that I can think of it, at least the best that I can feel within it. Oh, we spitting today. All right. I gotta take a little breath because this is happening. Last year I was right here in the quarantine in Medellin, Colombia, and this year it's the same happening, but the whole life, the whole scenario, all the changes, it's all different. I was designed to come back here to Medellin, ironically, to meet my life in a new way. Even though it was the exact moment in the beginning of the quarantine, 10 days after I arrived, the beginning of the old days. And this is a lot of what the Dark Night of the Soul is about, and having ego deaths and going through these traumatic ass moments that you often don't know you're in, but you're just feeling like at the same time right now, listening to this video, that you're in a hell cycle, that you just like in hell, you're not content. You're finding a lot of times you're struggling a lot to be grateful. You're struggling a lot to get in alignment. So we're going to work on number 3. We're going to go down this list of the warnings for the ego death. All right. Yeah, which kind of works right into number 2 as the follow-up, right? It's the constant chase for pleasure or materials, but you find that you're unsatisfied. And that really plays right into number 2. So we're not going to spend a tremendous time there as I move on to the next one. And then we'll do a quick breath exercise in between. This is the one where, this one is, I felt my throat chakra want to seize up. From being vulnerable with you in this moment. And this is actually why I brought the turquoise today. Work. It's not a requirement, but work with your stones. Okay, work with your stones. I brought this. These are like my standards. These are like my bad boys. I rock with these. But this blue turquoise is primarily for expression, because if you're going through the dark night of the soul, you're going through depression, spiritual depression, right? You're going through spiritual depression. And what that means is it's time to express. It's time to express. And I think that turquoise stones are one of the things that helps you express, so that you don't continue to depress and suppress all of your emotions and all of your energy and all of your thoughts, because the thoughts are where it kind of starts at, right? We begin to suppress our thoughts, so we don't have enough creative outlets. And when I say creative, what I mean is not necessarily artistic, but creative in the sense where it's intuitive to you. It's intuitive to your system on how you express your ideas. This is why I recommend anybody go ahead, get a natal reading with me, get an astrology blueprint. And I've been offering those in different ways lately. Been acting the biz astrology blueprint, right? Get your business in alignment. Obviously, you already know from the channel that you're able to sexually expand yourself and get more critical, less critical about your current sexuality and how you view that, whether you're actually enjoying an incredible sex life or not. Find your way to get more intuitive and reach there, so you can do that as a part of a natal reading. We're also obviously offering a love for the natal reading, but this is more what you make it. So the number 4 really jumping into for the dark night of the soul, you're going through that ego death. You're struggling within the space of your old identity being let go. And the more you struggle, you're finding you're having more and more difficulty, or you're choosing to surrender where you struggle anyway. And no matter what, it's kind of going to be a struggle regardless. But it's like you don't have to climb uphill and then shoot yourself in the foot, which is now your fault. And then jump off the balcony, which is also now your fault. And then yell at your boss, which is then again your fault. You're the only one that's going to face the consequences of whatever drastic measures you take to be more and more dramatic, and the refusal of allowing yourself to transform. Okay? Just recognize this. There are a lot of people on the way. I had to realize that, I had to also learn to think about the people that I'm hurting along the way while I go ahead and figure out my shit, and how inconsiderate or incompassionate I have been to people while I'm focusing and running on my shit. Mind you, right? I chose years ago to work in YouTube and set that out as a dream, which really more only so recently kind of feel like it got to that point where it's unlocked, where it's like, okay, cool. I'm clear on what I'm talking about, how I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to allow myself to expand even outside of astrology in these topics that really require me to speak up on. This is one of them, helping you get yourself through this. So whenever you feel lonely, not alone, lonely, which is a difference, I'm going to explain that, and you struggle with yourself, this is a clear sign that you're going through a dark night of the soul, right? This is a very, very clear sign. The moments that trigger you are exactly the moments, the map. It's the map that allows you to embrace the dark that you see, which really doesn't necessarily mean that it's dark, but it allows you to embrace your perception of what is dark and shitty in your life. It allows you to embrace the perception of what you believe is dark and shitty in your life, which is not necessarily the objective truth. But understand that the things that triggering you with these karmic relationships, recognizing when I say karmic relationship right now, I'm not talking about love, right? I'm not talking about like a romantic partner. I'm talking about any relationship you have with somebody you have a karmic destiny with. This could dead ass be a boss. And in your past life, you could have been a shithead boss. And so now you got a shitty boss in this life. And you're having to deal with this. And for some reason, you can't get out of it. For some reason, you just got to find your way struggling through it, whether it's because you're financially locked into it, or is under a contract, or you're not willing to take a chance on your dreams, what you really want to be doing to make money. Whatever the case is, understand that karmic relationship, it's not just about love. It's not just about your mom and your dad, the people that you meet. Each person has a part of your karmic destiny, whatever that is. You clarify destiny in this sense how you please, but it's all part of your karmic destiny. So as along this journey, when you really start diving in and allowing yourself to dream for you and not for what is expected of you, what happens is you begin to feel lonely. I had to realize the times I begin to feel lonely and recognize the difference between being alone. When you're gonna find yourself, by the time you get out of this moment, this crap ass moment, this bad moment, going through the dark night of the soul, the ego death, karmic relationships, a whole bunch of people triggering you emotionally. When you find yourself at this moment, you're going to find at the end of it, you're going to be okay with being alone. And being alone is a personal choice, and it's actually very healthy. You should take intentional alone time. Now, being lonely is now when you feel the lack and you have the insecurity rise of always needing people to be around to fulfill a void that maybe you're skipping. And this is where integrity lies. The number one answer to this question number 4 is integrity. You rock with integrity. Like, recognize that you can be a people person. You can have people around you, but recognize when is it because you feel lonely and you just start joining certain crowds just to not have to face your own shit. This is where it requires brutal honesty. This is integrity, in my personal opinion. When you're being brutally honest with, obviously, yourself. Because it doesn't matter if you think you're being honest with me, and it doesn't matter if I think I'm being honest with you. That could be a bold-faced lie right there in order to project out on you so I don't have to deal with my shit. But it's something so super clear in this day and age that we know we do that. So it's time to start taking personal accountability. And this is when you start finding yourself out of the dark night of the soul, out of that ego death and that shitty ass moment that you're having, or that karmic relationship with that boss or this particular love interest, or, you know, your mother and your father. Like, and recognize that it's a cycle, which means that it always comes to an end, right? It always has a deadline. And I think that part of the deadline is determinant on our willingness to surrender, our willingness to just say, this is what my life is in this moment, and that's fine. But it's happening because you're not clear purpose and your mission, on what drives you and what makes you feel such an undying urge to just get up and do a live, whether you have 0 people on there or 3,000 or 300,000. You act, speak, and move the same in every single scenario. This is what brutal honesty rewards you when you operate from integrity. And then when you find yourself going through a dark night of the soul moment, it's not that bad. Because last year, that shit was that bad for me. Last year, that shit was that bad. And as it happens this year, I really didn't even fully know I was in it till about a month ago. And then even then, it didn't impact me more than just like a normal ass day that was like maybe not the best. And I noticed a big difference because last year the same thing happened and it just fucking debilitated me. I was just fucking down and out. I was eating like shit. I was unstable emotionally. I was fucking wilding out emotionally. Unstable as fuck. I couldn't respect anybody's barriers. I was jumping in people's shit by just announcing what I wanted to say selfishly, completely lacking compassion for what anybody else might have been doing, loving, enjoying, or even just fucking hating in their own shitty day. For me to then pop more shit on top of them. This is the evolution. You know, when we go through these dark nights of the soul, it's generally a wake up call of saying like, look, you know, there are a couple of things misaligned in your life, Pernell. It's time to check in and fucking get stable and get sturdy, get your diet on track. You know, do your breath work, embody the movement within my meditation. Rise with the sun. I know it's good for me. Do my own meditations. Stimulate that pineal gland. Allow myself to forgive so I can work with the heart chakra energy. Check in with all my chakras. Fuck it, Pernell, do you feel stable right now? Are you feeling secure? Okay, that's the root chakra. It starts at the bottom, right? And then work our way up. Stop feeding into what the spiritual community looks like it is, thinking that you're always going to be on point and your intuition is going to be operating for you and you're going to have all this godly understanding if your crown chakra is fucking fully activated. Get out of that mindset and check back in with the lower level chakras, because if you're going through a dark night of the soul moment, an ego death moment, all that stuff is of the human flesh. You feel me? Your identity is linked to your human flesh. It has nothing to do with your spirit. It's nothing to do with your soul. It's nothing to do with your expression. If I go from the heart chakra up to the top chakras, to the ajna, the third eye, all of the rest above the heart, those are all of your spiritual being. That's all spiritual self, right? But it's the bottom 3 chakras where shame and guilt begins to hold us back. Only something of the human flesh like shame and guilt, I say again, the human flesh like shame and guilt, which is linked to how we perceive our identity, which is when exactly this ego death begins to happen. When how we perceive our identity is beginning to have a rapid fucking shift and transformation into something we don't fucking know anymore. And then we get real shaky. It's like, oh, fuck. My energy has been running super high in my body. So I've been making sure in these moments that I activate more, right? Shake the energy out, move the energy through your body. These emotions most definitely and hopefully, obviously, get trapped in your body. And this is why your back hurts. Today, I fucking hit my right knee. You know when you hit your right knee on something, it's like, ah, and it's like, it really just didn't hurt as bad as it sounded. Today was not the fucking day. And it's hours later and I have inflammation in my right knee. But what does that mean? It's my masculine side and my support system. So the support for my own personal positive masculine energy feels right now unsupported. And I have to own up and face up to why that is. And I know exactly why that is, because not in every corner was I doing what I needed to do. I was prioritizing more people, other people outside of me, more than I gave myself any attention. This is my Muay Thai guy. He's out of here. Peace. Actually, it was ching ching ching. What was it called? Arts was. You can rewind and check some of the martial arts he was doing.
So it's not, it's just me, not the martial arts. Called Wing Chun. It was made famous by Bruce Lee, who developed his own martial art out of that. But right there. Hey, everybody. I practice called Wing Chun. It was made famous. You've probably seen like the Ip Man movies or something.
IP man.
Yeah. And so yeah. So there you go. That's it. It's like a very practical, very like martial way of like living your life, and you kind of transform that into your physical manifestations while you're practicing. So
absolutely, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, man, no, you're good, baby. I appreciate you checking in. The reason why that was important, and you should like rewind earlier to where some of the martial arts are showing, and you see how sweaty he is right now, right? And it's actually not something so that has to be so physical. It was just him and his body, right? He was embodying the energy and moving it through his body, so the emotions didn't get trapped. That's exactly what would just happen. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for checking in. I stumbled across this channel for some reason and everything resonates. Courtney, I fuck with you. Thank you. You know, I was saying earlier, it's like, look, whether there's 0 people in this or 300,000, like I'm going to run it the same. And right now we're talking about the ego death. Courtney, what are you going through on your own while watching? And if you can drop that in the chat for me, I wish you could talk out loud to me. But if you can drop that to me, then maybe we can try to address something while I talk about number 5 in the process of you typing that. With the ego death, this is number 5, warnings that you're going through an ego death. Your identity is starting to shatter and break away from underneath your feet. You're feeling that spiritual depression. You're feeling like, oh my God, this is the dark night of the soul. This is probably why I Googled this video to get it on. You're finding yourself in a space of being the prisoner of your past or your future. This is a critical thing. You just brought your son home from Muay Thai. That's dope. So while you say that, I actually run one-on-one personal retreats. I run pretty much people that are going through their spiritual awakening. I run one-on-one personal retreats where I teach them how I learned from the monks to meditate when I was living over in Thailand and did a little studying, starting actually in Laos, but ironically, and I continued it back in Thailand and then focused on the Muay Thai as well. So went through that and boxing. And what I'm doing is I'm running spiritual retreats, really just one-on-one personal retreats. So I've done group retreats and actually did one here in Medellin, Colombia at the beginning of the year in January in the quarantine, baby. And we got people that are cross-country borders. Courtney, I'm definitely going to check that answer. And so to get to that answer quick, what I'm going to say is definitely, if you're interested, shoot me a message, shoot me an email, contact me through one of my comments. And if you're interested in actually doing one of the one-on-one personal retreats, what I do is for 1 month, people actually fly out and they live in Medellin, Colombia, or Mexico, which is my 1-2 second home. It goes back and forth depending on the time frame that you come. And people live with me, not with me. They get their own separate apartment. And for the month, we focus on the Tai Chi and the fusions of it, because at this point, I've honestly made my own varieties between the Tai Chi and the Falun Dafa or the Muay Thai and the boxing. We learn how to meditate like the monks, but I'll focus more on movement, movement and meditations, also walking meditations. And it's always to so and I'm teaching you how to do this and cultivate it from yourself, all while teaching you how to work and let me check in with your answer, Courtney, what you got. Every single sign of the dark night, so I'm going through. I'm so glad I have my twin flame that helped me. Absolutely. So, actually just in the process of, I just went through a twin flame separation. It's just what it is. That karmic relationship, it came in my life, and understanding as well that I had to learn that twin flames also don't have a face. It's not necessarily, this is the one that always is funny. It can even be tricky for me, is it doesn't always have a face. So I'm happy you said this, Courtney, because this is actually exactly what I'm going through. Part of what my current dark night of the soul, as I'm coming to the end of it, I really feel like I'm coming to the end of it, which is why this video is coming out. My twin flame actually, and I just had went through a separation, and but it was the reuniting and the separation of it that have brought me to the whole next level to be able to be actually talking to you right now. So this is pretty dope. I'm happy. Anything you want to share about your twin flame journey on here, that's helping you through this dark night of the soul, definitely do so, or ask any questions. So, Courtney, side note, I'm actually doing a sexual energy workshop where I'm helping you take your sacral chakra energy up. It's just a donation based via Eventbrite. Helping you take your sacral chakra energy up, whether to your heart to heal, whether to your throat chakra, so that you can focus on your creative and masterful expression, or you bring it to your pineal gland so we can begin to stimulate that imagination and begin to remove the illusions out the way, which obviously gets us to work closer to that crown where we kind of have a understanding. So if you're interested in that, you'll see that as one of the pinned comments at the top. Anybody watching this is at the pinned comments at the top. You've been together for 15 years. That's freaking cool. That's freaking cool. I think that might go into number 6. What does it say? Number 6, ego death. 15 years. That's freaking. Can we do a clap real quick? Actually, I want you to clap with me because this is dope. And recognize the power when you hear that clap. Recognize the power when you hear that clap. Notice the shifts in your heartbeat as you clap with me. Notice the shifts. I actually do my best if I can ever remember to clap every day. Somehow I always end up feeling like I clap. May not be every day, but I want to make it a ritual. You've been drinking too much and haven't started to realize what's going on. Wow, that's fucking real. I was in Mexico and I was drinking too much to fucking realize what was going on. And for like 3-4 months, it's been past life, and I told my husband about it. So what's happening from the past life? Maybe we can work through and address this. And as you give me that answer, I'll read number 6 out of this ego death and what we're going through. So take your time, because I'll go through number 6. It says you're currently false success. I wish I had my glasses, because I do have my glasses. Ha ha ha! This is awesome. All right. Because I was starting to squint over here. I was like, what the fuck? I can't say. So yeah, I've been drinking too much and have started to realize what's going on. It's from a past life. I told my husband about it. So Courtney, are you familiar with this, just looking through your astrology chart? What you can do is you can look through the south node, and it will, if you check the south node and the north node in your astrology chart, I just typed it in the chat, it will show you and give you a very clear roadmap of how to navigate your past life, and let you know very clearly what part about your past life. That's where you want to look. On the south node in your astrology natal chart, it'll tell you exactly what part of your past life are you struggling to let go of. Which puts you in this dark night of the soul. You'll know exactly that. I'm glad I found you today. This is dope. And the north node will tell you kind of like where you need to lean towards, so that you can help master in this life, basically spearheading your way through a brand new life away from the past life. You have to understand the past life to understand the north node, which is the future of where you're heading. And then that'll make it easier and give you a map, so you can navigate this dark night of the soul. You can navigate these parts of your identity that's just fucking shattering, and you can be very specific. Oh yes, I'm very familiar with astrology, and I've looked at it before, but I'm going to probably have a fresh look. Okay, yeah. When is the last time you looked at it prior to this? Because I hope it's all the time, because that junk is guide. It's a consistent guide. Just to even if you don't look at it all the time, to know what it is. Here's what I want to do. Bam. Courtney, I actually just dropped a 15-minute natal reading for free. For free. You're struggling with the guilt. You're struggling with the shame. You know that your astrology chart exists. We'll go exactly in that 15 minutes over your past life, and looking towards where you're going in your new life. And honestly, I believe that 15 minutes is simple enough to just say, boom, here's what we're looking at. Because then from there, it is the dark night of the soul, right? You still have to then go through the thing. Yeah, it's been about a year. Yeah, it's definitely time. It's definitely time. Because think about it, 1 year already pushed you through a complete. The sun in astrology represents consciousness, right? So what you're consciously aware about. So when you go 1 full year, 365 days, the sun makes a full revolution. So that brings you, I don't know if I'm an Aries, right? So if I'm an Aries in April, when April comes back around, I have a full brand new cycle of a brand new consciousness, right? A brand new ego self. So essentially, the sun is the identity, right? It's the ego self. It's the place that we are egocentric from. If we are egocentric, if we are narcissistic, it will usually come from a very strong and dominant conscious sign of its consciousness, something selfish like an Aries. I'm an Aries, right? Something like a Leo, very egocentric. Potentially an Aquarius as well, because egocentric without emotions activating and operating for a system. So yeah, definitely look at it again, because you went through a full year of consciousness, which means that your consciousness is probably really re-illuminating. What's your zodiac sign? Just the first one. Like, when's your birthday? Like, are you a Scorpio or you're Aries? But yeah, definitely you want to go through that. Yeah, that's true. And just on the font. No, you're getting out. The end is here. The end is here. And I know that for a fact, because I'm really good at what I do. So you're gonna get exactly what you need in that 15 minutes. It's super simple. So number 6, as I move on to 7, just to reiterate your current definition of success, what I want to do is I'm actually gonna go. I like to do this on the lives, and we're gonna talk about the dark night of the soul warnings. All right. We're going to talk about the dark night of the soul warning. So you really know that you're there by the time you watch this video. And this is number 1. Gemini. Okay. Gemini 6, so that we can move on to number 7. So ego death. Number 1, you're going through an identity crisis. All right. You're refusing to allow your ego to die. All right. That's clear and simple. The second one we went through is you're not content. You find yourself struggling, especially even to be grateful, which is like when we know we're definitely out of balance, when we're struggling to be grateful. So that's the next one. Courtney, I'm gonna definitely scroll back up and get your answer. Number 3, we have a constant chase for pleasure. Usually we're getting like really hedonistic, and we're chasing material things, or we're judging our current success off of material success. And that's when we know we're automatically out of balance. And the thing is, once Libra season begins, Libra is what the sign that begins like materialism. So once the sun falls after rising in Aries, it falls in Virgo, it begins to get dark from Libra all the way through again to like Aries. This is the next fucking dark season. So you can almost bet your booty every year around October, it gets real scary. It gets real Halloween scary hours out here. Let me see what you got, Courtney. I know a lot what's going on. I've had a recurrent dreams, and I've had a lot of communication. Nope, not communication. I've had a lot of confirmation working with my tarot cards and crystals in general. And absolutely, what crystals are you walking in right now, and why that one? Just out of curiosity, because I love crystals too. So I'm just like, I'm having fun now. Yeah, I know a lot of what's going on at reoccurring dreams. What was the reoccurring dream? Maybe we get some answers right now. What was the reoccurring dream? I've had a lot of confirmation, because I really work with dream space a lot, in the space of like channeling and being able to interpret dream messages. Like, I honestly feel like, wow, you just helped me come into my full self, because the Aries full moon is coming on October 20th, right? And so it's only 7 days away. So the Aries full moon is oh wow, I don't have my freaking charger and my computer's gonna die. So we're gonna wrap this live up sooner than I thought, because my charger's all the way too far. So Courtney, let's get you some big answers. I agree. I would love that. Yeah. Yeah, Courtney, we're definitely gonna have that 15. I think you got the link already. Um, and it's in the description and everything, even when the live ends. So you can also like go back and check the live chat. So we're gonna run through these last couples because my computer will die. All right. So bam. I'll turn my brightness down a little bit. Your current definition of success is misaligned and you're insecure, chasing the false success. All right. So that kind of leads us, right? Like when we chase false success, we talked about this. We go through these moments where identity is struggling because who we are at a spiritual, internal, deeper level, that if we take the time to actually introspect it, is just it can't be different than what we're actually doing on our daily lives. Because if so, your spirit and your human self and your desire for material things is going to crash. That's what I was saying. Libra season kind of starts that. And Scorpio season, it gets real dark and it starts to investigate that. And by the time you go to Sagittarius, the season right after, you begin to see all of your shit basically. And it becomes super clear of what you did and why you did it. And then by the time you move into Capricorn, you start stepping into the integrity of what you saw back in Sagittarius. And then from the integrity of like making sure your actions are aligned with your words and your words are aligned with your actions, you begin to go into Aquarius season where you just know what you need to do moving forward into the future. And as you get to the future, which is obviously where, in a sense, Pisces is from, which is just a part of all things and everything's ethereal at all times, you then get to a place of just fully understanding everything before Aries sparks that new light and brings you back into basically the lighter days. So we're gonna almost expect until Pisces season, which is like late February, March, shit's just gonna be dark. This is just what it is. This is why I put this video up. This is just what it is. Absolutely. I made a whole chakra crystal grid for my birthday, and I got a lot of answers through my Afropolite. I don't even know what that one is. I think sometimes too, I get confused now because I live in Colombia. So I see crystals mostly in Spanish now. So it could be one that I maybe know, but it may be one I just don't know. Because I'm definitely all the crystals, I forget them now in English sometimes. Like I recognize it easier in Spanish. Um, yeah, wow, this is crazy. So number 7, you're feeling superficial and you're in yourself or sadness, but it mostly happening when you're avoiding your own existential evolution. So this is the dark night of the soul. When we don't survive, this is the only time it's really super traumatic and fucking feels like you're grinding gears. The only time it feels like you're grinding gears when you are struggling to accept the existential, which is just bigger than you. Existential is your entire existence. You resist that. This is the suffering. All right. Um, Boom. We're gonna move. I really hate to move this along, but I know that without my charger, this is not going to work. Your sleep is disrupted. You find yourself waking up at the witching hours, like anywhere from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. This is a big reason why you know you're going through a dark night of soul. What happens is during those time frames, the spiritual veil, let's say, the spiritual veil between world, spirit world, and physical world, it is dimmer. It's lighter. All right, during the witching hours. So it allows you to get more downloads from spirit. It allows you to get more downloads from your tarot readings, from astrology, and when you look through it, from everything, right? Last question. Were you a guest on that Jubilee channel about what guys think about sex? Honestly, that's a possibility. I don't know if it was a Jubilee channel or not, but I've had an interview like that. It's somewhere on the internet. So I don't know if it was Jubilee specifically, but I feel like it also feels a weird little tingle in my body. But I mean, like, I'm at this point, like, I'm definitely a public speaker, if you will. Even before I was in the space of astrology, speaking about this now, it's just been my whole life. So that's a strong possibility. I have no clue. So thank you. Definitely, again, check in anybody listening with the Aries full moon workshop that I'm running. October 17th. It's just donation based, and I'm teaching you how to use your breath, your sexual energy, that God force energy that can create a baby, to move it up to your spine in order to gain clarity mentally, to be able to understand and break away the illusions that happen in times like the dark night of the soul, as well as think about it, your ego going through a death. That's one part of it as well. It allows you to kind of have that release, if you will. And so I just dropped these both. Whoa. That's not going to work. I'm gonna drop this both because I definitely want to see you on this 15. Definitely want to see. Oh shit, weird shit is happening. Oh, what was that? Excuse my language. It was really nice to talk to you as well, Courtney. This is really such a pleasure. I don't know how you found me, but I'm very grateful that you did. Last question, you and I guess no. So this is the free reading right there, and I'm gonna go to number 9 after the witching hours, the whole sleeping. You're waking up 3, and from like so it could be like 1. That'd be weird. Mine's be weird. I'd be waking up at like 1, sometimes 12:30. But it's also because I could just pass out in the middle of the day. This is way too synchronistic. I swear you were. Absolutely. This is what I do. And I pop up like a genie. And this is part of what my dark night of soul was making me go through. Making sure that I show up on the world stage. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing that at every corner. And I was allowing the Scorpio ascendant within me. To hide my talent and only want to transmute shit for myself and be selfish. And that's actually one of the reasons why last year I was going through my dark night of the soul and why this year is a lot better, because I actually ran up to Mexico. I ran to Mexico. I was there for like 3-4 months, went to US for 1 month. I came back to Colombia, and it's like coming back to Colombia this time. I didn't know why or how I got here, but I wasn't mad either because I love this place, right? I really love this place. So it was beautiful. But this time around, when I broke up when I had my twin flame separation, it just wasn't, what it was I had to recognize where was I lusting. I recognize where was I personally lusting, and where was I creating this ideal, this living by this idealistic vision, illusion of what the twin flame union was for me, or what love was going to be like, or who was going to be my wife. And I had to break through that illusion. And that's what was triggering for my karmic relationship. And that's what was triggering my ego's death because of, and again, mind you, delusions where these people, I had my twin flame in at least that I know of 2 different people, 2 different bodies. So again, where was the illusion? And this is where the breath workshop really plays in well. You've been up all night. Yeah, I know, yo, I know. So let's talk about how we can get you to go to sleep briefly. I'm gonna shoot 9 and 10 for everybody else watching this video, and we'll talk about the sleep. 9, you can't feel like you feel like you can't bounce back, and you're struggling to ground into just being. Yeah, I mean that's heavy, right? Because then it just, when you feel like you can't bounce back, then what happens is you put more weight on top of yourself. It's like you're already drowning with a weight attached to your ankles, but then you decide to just open your mouth and suck in the water so that you drown faster, versus holding your breath and focusing on calming your mind or taking some walk or just whatever it is. Now you just and you just drown yourself faster. So this is where we find ourselves in the space of not being able to bounce back. And that's when we struggle to be within our body, within ourselves. So this is critical. You're going through. It's one of the signs. And the last, number 10, is your toxic patterns won't transform, and you feel trapped in a cycle. So the question then becomes, Courtney, you say you can't sleep. You've been up all night. What toxic pattern is keeping you up? What toxic pattern is keeping you locked in? What is your twin flame teaching you through the triggers, right? If you look back at the beginning of this video, it's like your triggers are your healers. What part about your trigger is healing you? So I'm going to press end stream now, only because I don't want to go, but my computer is dying, and I need to make sure that this actually makes it rather than die out. So I love you, and thank you for joining in. It's an impromptu, kind of not really, but join my workshop, subscribe to my channel if you're watching this. It'd be a big pleasure. We didn't talk primarily sex or astrology today because I was just called to put this message out, and it looks like maybe it was for Courtney. So thank you all for checking in. I just saw 555 on the screen. Is a big change. I'm out here to express and to stop holding back what I know and what I've learned, all because I was being absolutely selfish and inconsiderate. But I'm not going to shame myself or guilt trip myself there either, because this is the lessons that the dark night of the soul brings you through. Time to go through a fast, a fast of technology, a spiritual fast, a fast from food, a fast from all things negative, a fast from the toxic patterns. And as you do that, you find yourself at the end of the dark night of the soul. Pernell Bobby, thank you for subscribing and checking in.